Jay. Whew. Ready? You know, today I thought I was going to be preaching a message that was going to talk about recreating the past. I thought I was going to be talking about how we reach back in our lives, reach back to our past and bring it forward to relive today what once was, because we have a hard time reaching forward to what can be. And I thought I was going to do that till I got into prayer this morning. And while I was in prayer, I was overwhelmed by the Spirit of God as I prayed. And as He spoke to me, I lifted my eyes and I looked out my window and my back door. And as I started to look what was in front of me, I looked and I saw the mountains, I saw the clouds, I saw the cars passing by, I saw the house that I lived in, and yet my eyes was drawn to the sky. And as I looked up into the sky, my eyes could go nowhere else but to the blue of the sky. And as I started to look, I realized how vast and how wide this sky was, how it stretches from the north to the south, from the east to the west. It surrounds the earth day and night. And every time we look up, we see the sky. And as I started to look at the vastness of the sky, I saw my Lord's eyes looking back at me. And when I saw Him look at me, I realized that my God was greater than the sky that I looked upon. And His majesty and His greatness overwhelmed me. And I cried. And I started to look at the mountains again. My eyes were drawn to the clouds, and drawn to the mountains, and drawn to the cars. And as I looked, everything just seemed so insignificant before the eyes of God. And then I looked at myself. When I looked up at the sky and I saw Him looking back at me, I realized how small and insignificant in this world I really am. There are greater things out there, greater and bigger than we are, wider and taller than we will ever be. But yet, the one thing that overwhelmed me with the most was that my Father's eyes was looking down at me. And in spite of being insignificant to the world, in His eyes I was very significant. So I fell on my face and I cried and I prayed and asked the Lord to give me a word that shows me that what I see, and what I know, what You have revealed to me. And when I opened, He gave me Psalms 139. And that's where we're going to go. Let's turn to Psalms 139. Start there. In Psalms 139, when I opened my word, and I looked at the title of this psalm, it says, God's perfect knowledge of man. And even to that, I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. And I started to read from verse 1, and it says, O Lord, You have searched me and known me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You understand my thought afar off. You comprehend my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word on my tongue, but behold, O Lord, You know it altogether. You have hedged me behind and before, and laid Your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain it. And when I read this, I started to cry, and I thought to myself as I looked up in the sky, I said, Lord, how perfect. How awesome You are, that when I look upon the sky, that the skies, the clouds, and the mountains, as great and as mighty and majestic as they may be, is insignificant to the vastness that You are. And yet You know me. You know my heart, that even before I speak, You know what I'm going to say. You know what is going to come out of me before I even know. My words are altogether Yours. And just to have that revelation of God, I looked at it and I felt like I was on the edge of something. That I looked upon God and I looked up at the sky and I said, I feel like I'm at the edge of realizing something, of receiving something, of embracing something. But yet, to obtain such knowledge and such understanding was too great for me. It was too much for me. I could not attain this greatness that God is giving unto me. I couldn't understand it. It was too much. It overwhelmed me. And I couldn't hold myself back. And yet I wanted to understand, and I wanted to know, and I wanted God to tell me, what does He see in me? What does He understand of me? Yet I cannot obtain my understanding of Him. And He goes on to say in verse 7, where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall fall on me, even the night shall be light about me. Indeed, the darkness shall not hide from you, but the night shines as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to you. And when I read this, I looked upon what he was saying, and I said, Father, even when I'm on my high, if I ascended to heaven, to the joys of heaven, to understand what total peace may be that you can give me, you are there waiting for me. You understand that this is what I'm reaching for. And yet if I make my bed in hell, and I'm in my own iniquities and in my own darkness, Father, you hold me. You are there. You don't hide yourself from me even in my iniquities. And if I was to take the wings of the morning and flee and hide from your face in the uttermost parts of the sea, Father, you hang on to me. You hang on to me and you lead me. You never seem to let me go because of what you see of me. You see, when I looked at the eyes of God looking back at me, I was overwhelmed because of it just seemed too much for me. How can we, being one in billions upon this earth, that God finds favor in you and I, that God knows our comings and our goings, our highs and our lows, our shames, our sorrows, and yet He knows our joys and our happinesses. Yet God looks upon from heaven, He looks down through the sky, and at your life and my life, and He finds favor in you and joy in you, even when you're in sorrow and shame and darkness. And when we think that everything around us in our world is falling apart, like night falling upon us, He looks upon the night as day, because they are both the same to Him, because you to Him are precious. He does not consider your world falling apart as being separated from Him, or you being in your highest joy as the sun shining upon your life. He does not take favor in your darkness or in your light, but He sees you all the same. He wants to be near you and close to you. He wants to embrace you and show you that He cares. He wants you to understand that from His throne in heaven, you are more precious than the mountains and the clouds, that you are greater than you will understand. And if you have any trouble in your life, any sorrow or darkness comes upon you, then look up to the sky, because there the Father is looking back at you, because He understands your darkness. He understands your light. He understands your world falling apart. He understands when you want to run and hide into the sea. He understands because He knows you. He won't separate from you because of that, but He will try to embrace you and love you in spite of what you're going through. He goes on to say in verse 12, for you formed the inward parts. You covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes saw my substance being yet unformed, and in your book they all were written, the days fashioned for me, when as yet there were none of them. Yet each day He looks before you. Each day He already knows your tomorrow. He knows if tomorrow you're going to cry, if you're going to hurt. He knows if you're going to laugh, if you're going to hide. Tomorrow is in God's hands, and God knows this. So He asks you, do you see me? Do you hear me? Do you know who I am? Can you look to the mountains? Can you look to the skies? Can you see my face and my smile upon your life? Can you see my eyes watching you in everything that you go through? That you don't have to go through it alone. That you don't have to feel the sorrow and the sadness alone. That you don't have to separate yourselves because of your shame. You are not alone. I am with you every day. I am with you throughout your time here on earth. Do you see me? Do you understand me? God is looking from the skies. And I want to tell you, God knows. He knows all about you. There is nothing hidden from his sight that you cannot tell him that he doesn't know already. That is the God that we serve. So wonderful, so mighty, so majestic, so awesome, so kind, so generous, so loving, and so embracing. That is the God that we serve, who never leaves us nor forsakes us, but he knows everything that we face. Go to Luke chapter 12. In Luke chapter 12, as the Lord speaks to his disciples, telling them parables, he tells them, do not worry. Tells the people who will listen, he tells his disciples, whoever is around him, he says, do not worry. Let's start chapter 12, verse 22. He says, then he said to his disciples, therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, nor about the body, what you will put on. Life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which have neither storehouse nor barn, and God feeds them. Of how much more value are you than the birds? And which of you by worrying can add 1 cubit to your stature? If you then are not able to do the least, why are you anxious for the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. And yet I say to you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothed the grass, which today is in the field and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? And do not seek what you should eat or what you should drink, nor have an anxious mind. For all these things the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knows that you need these things. But seek the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added to you. Do not fear, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell what you have and give alms. Provide yourselves money bags which do not grow old, a treasure in the heavens that does not fail, where no thief approaches nor moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I say to you, why do we worry about tomorrow? Why are we so concerned about our 2 days, our sorrows, our troubles, our woes? Why are we trying to hang on to the past, to reevaluate and recreate what was and make it today what is, when God has so much more in the future for us? He knows what we need, and he knows what is good for us. He supplies everything and has prepared it for each and every one of us. All we have to do is reach up for the kingdom, look upon the skies and see him looking back at us, and it is yours. That kingdom which looks back at us, that God who looks down from heaven upon your life and my life, he knows what you need. He knows what you can take. He knows what you can handle. He knows what you cannot handle. But he is there to handle it for you. He is there to supply you and give you the strength and the courage that you think you lack. God is greater than you will ever know. But looking at the skies and seeing his eyes watching back at me, I realized God was greater than I could even comprehend. I've never seen God so great. I've never seen him so mighty. I've never felt so at one with him. His eyes looking back at me, feeling his love, separating the world and bringing me out into the open. The mountains to him is insignificant to you. The clouds are insignificant to you. If you think God doesn't know you, you're wrong. God knows you more than you know. God can see you. He can feel you. He can hear you. And He understands you. He will give you what you need without you even asking. He will supply for you because of who you are in His eyes. This world means nothing to Him without you. And if one is lost, don't you think He cries for that one? If you walk away, don't you think He cries for you? Don't you think He longs for you? Don't you think He wants to be with you, spend time with you, talk to you, embrace you? Do you think that you are not worthy of that? God thinks that you are. But do you believe that you are? Do you know God the way that I see Him? Seek the kingdom of heaven and you will understand. Look up to the skies and watch Him looking back at you and allow God to share His love with you. Pour Himself out upon you. Open your hearts to Him and let Him set you free. Because this world has no hold on you. It is insignificant to your walk with Him. God knows what He is doing. God is all things to all men. He is what we call Him. He is Jehovah. He is the God, the self-extending, the self-God. He is our one and our only, the I am what I am. We call Him but Jehovah Jireh. He is your provider. He will never leave you outside leave you in the rain and leave you in the cold without giving you what you need because He can see you. He knows what you need, and He will provide everything for you. He is Jehovah Rapha. He is your healer, and He will heal your heart and heal your souls and heal your body if you will look to the heavens and praise Him and give Him the glory that is due Him and see Him for who He is. He is Jehovah Nissi. He is your banner. He is your miracle. He is for you in the time of your battles and your troubles. He is your strength, and He will guide you and lead you and bring victory to your life if you see Him for all that He is. He is Jehovah Shalom. He is your peace in time of darkness. He is your joy when you are sad. He is your strength, your warmth when you are cold. He is your peace of mind, peace of heart, peace of soul. He is Jehovah. He is what you need, and He will always be Him. But most of all, He is Elohim. He is God. And He is our Father. And He never takes His eyes off of you because He loves you. He is Elohim. He is God. And He knows what you need. And He will take care of you if you will look to the skies and believe. God is with you in every area of your life. He will never leave you nor forsake you. He loves you endlessly. Remember, He is Elohim. He is God. And He will provide for you. Amen.